All right. Good evening. Hello. Welcome to another Classic Comics live stream. Hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving. Not a whole heck of a lot, but there are a few interesting subjects to touch on. Uh, Let me see. I'm going to try and bring some of these up here, but as usual, live stream or StreamYards is not being very cooperative. Okay. Uh, there we go. Okay, so now probably the first one I'll go ahead and start off with here. As you all know, Deadpool and Wolverine was a big hit at the box office, but apparently some information has come out about the budget for the film, and it looks like it may not have been all that profitable after all. Let me see. Bring this up here. All right. And this is from Forbes.com. Deadpool and Wolverine cost a $500 million, but did it make a profit? Okay, Disney has revealed that it spent more than $500 million on 2024 adult action movie Deadpool and Wolverine, confirmed that its final cost exceeded the production budget. So, did it make a profit? It's no secret that Deadpool and Wolverine was a hit. The movie grossed 1.34 billion, making it only one of Disney's Marvel Cinematic Universe superhero movies to pass the $1 billion threshold post-pandemic. Its bottom line wasn't quite as punchy as though. To calculate a studio's profit when a picture plays in movie theaters, its costs need to be deducted from its takings. Although Deadpool and Wolverine grossed 1.3 billion, Disney didn't pocket all of this. The amount that theaters pay to studios is known in the trade as a rental fee, and an indication of the typical level comes from film industry consultant Stephen Follows, who interviewed 1,235 film professionals in 2014 and concluded that according to studios, theaters keep 49% of the takings on average. This research lends weight to a widely established 50-50 split, which would give Disney 670 million from Deadpool and Wolverine. Then come the costs. Deadpool and Wolverine stars Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman as the eponymous anti-heroes who are joined by a plethora of A-list actors in cameo roles. The lineups included Jennifer Garner, Chris Evans, Henry Cavill, and Channing Tatum, who don't come cheap. Exactly how much Disney spent on Deadpool and Wolverine was laid bare in a recent report by this author for the London Standard newspaper. The precise cost of movies made in the United States is usually a closely guarded secret, as studios combine them in their overall expenses and don't break down how much was spent on each one. Movies made in the United Kingdom are a different story, and Deadpool and Wolverine was one of them. The movie was largely shot at Pinewood Studios just outside London, with a local quarry doubling for the dusty dystopian void where the title characters meet long lost MCU stars. The filming location shines a light on its costs. Okay, let's try this again. Back now. So I don't know if you could hear anything I was saying, but my computer froze up and I had to, I mean, nothing was working. I couldn't like control alt delete or anything. So I had to basically just do a restart. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, that hopefully this thing won't freak out on me. Okay, where was I? Okay, so exactly how much how much Disney spent on Deadpool and Wolverine was laid bare in a recent report by this author for the London Standard newspaper. The precise cost of movies made in the U.S. is usually a closely guarded secret, as studios combine them all in their overall expenses and don't break down how much was spent on each one. Movies made in the United Kingdom are a different story, and Deadpool and Wolverine was one of them. The movie was largely shot at Pinewood Studio with a local quarry, doubling for the dystopian void where the title characters meet long lost MCU stars. The filming locations shines a spotlight on its costs. And again, I don't know, I don't know if you heard, but I was musing if this was the same quarry where they used to film Doctor Who back in the 70s. That was right when the thing started freezing up on me. Filming in the UK has a magic touch on budgets as the government reimburses studios up to 25.5 of the money they spend in the country. Until last year, the reimbursement came in the form of a tax credit, but it is now counted as revenue. The key condition of receiving it is that at least 10% of the core costs of the production have to be incurred in the UK. And in order to demonstrate this to the authorities, studios set up separate companies to produce each movie they make there. These production companies are obliged to file legally binding financial statements, which lift the curtain on everything from the total cost and amount of reimbursement right down to the headcount and social security payments. The Disney subsidiary behind Deadpool and Wolverine is called Richmond Street Productions, apparently in a nod to the movie's cinematographer George Richmond. Its latest financial statements show that by October 31st, 2024, 3 months after the movie debuted, Disney had spent a staggering 533.7 million, making it one of the top 10 most expensive films of all time. Filming was heavily disrupted by the actors and writers strikes in 2023. And perhaps as a result of this, the film filings reveal that the quote final costs exceeded the production budget. However, this wasn't the end of the story. Disney banked a total of 104.7 million in tax credits and reimbursement, bringing its net spending on the movie down to 429 million. It points out that this spending benefits local UK businesses such as security, equipment hire, transport, and catering. Last year, Disney announced that since 2019, it has spent 4.8 billion on production in the UK across 41 shows and 29 feature films, supporting more than 32,000 jobs. Deadpool and Wolverine paid 11.2 million to its staff, who peaked at a monthly average of 105 employees, not including freelancers, contractors, and temp workers, as they aren't listed as employees on the books of UK companies, even though they often represent the majority of the crew on a film shoot. Deducting the 429 million net spending from Disney's estimated 670 million share of the takings gives Deadpool and Wolverine a healthy profit of 241 million at the box office. Nonetheless, the share of the box office isn't a studio's only return from a movie, so offsetting it from the costs in the financial statement does not show whether it made a profit or a loss overall. As a Disney spokesperson told me last year, quote, there will be other income generated by the production, such as DVD, Blu-ray sales, merchandising, etc. It's not reflecting a true account of whether the film was overall profitable. Just as the production generates other income, it also incurs other costs, chief of which are the marketing expenses, which are not shown in the financial statements of the production companies. Accordingly, if the home entertainment merchandise sales should be added to the theater takings, the marketing costs should be deducted. Disney declined to comment on the filings and doesn't disclose how much it spends on marketing for each picture. However, the film industry experts at That Park Place estimate that a quote aggressive worldwide marketing rollout, which describes the Deadpool and Wolverine campaign, can cost more than 200 million. Merchandising and streaming sales are even harder to assess as it is tough to attribute them to specific productions. A great deal of the former for Deadpool and Wolverine carries the overall Marvel brand rather than the names of specific movies, and streaming viewers don't pay to watch each one of them because they have monthly subscriptions. These ancillary revenue streams cast a cloud of uncertainty over the movie's overall bottom line, and they have also brought the movie into the crosshairs of campaigners. Deadpool and Wolverine may be comic book characters who wear colorful costumes, but the movie about them is anything but a child's film. Rated R is filled with innuendo, bloody violence, and glib references to drugs. The adult themes are at the heart of many of the movie's most outrageous in-jokes. Although it is the third Deadpool movie, it is the first one made by Disney. Its two prequels were equally edgy and were made by 20th Century Fox before the studio was sold to Disney in 2019. Since then, several of Disney's own Marvel films have flopped at the box office as they were seen as increasingly aimed at kids. And I don't think that was the problem. The problem wasn't that they were aimed at kids. The problem is that they were dumb and they were, I mean, that's bull crap because they were seen at aimed at kids. That's not the issue. To tempt back the adult audiences that grew up with the comics and made Marvel's earlier movies smash hits, Disney made Deadpool and Wolverine as provocative as possible. It even mocks the fact that cocaine use was the only thing Marvel president Kevin Feige prevented from being shown on screen. The film turns into a joke when Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool character breaks the fourth wall by saying that he isn't even allowed to refer to the drug by any slang terms, which he proceeds to run through, culminating in "Do you want to build a snowman?" A euphemism inspired by a song in Disney's animated film Frozen. Associ- Associating drug references, however, obliquely with humor and cool in-jokes unwittingly makes drug use seem exciting and attractive to young viewers who will undoubtedly become familiar with the references via social media, even if they are not old enough to watch the latest film themselves, says Sarah Brighton, Chief Executive of drug prevention and education charity Hope UK. Quote, the MCU creators, together with all parties who are involved in funding or supporting the film industry, have a responsibility to safeguard the well-being of young fans, children, and young people who are going to be massively influenced by the movies and their movie stars. Further complicating matters, Disney sells toys of the characters in Deadpool and Wolverine, who also appear on its cruise ships and in its theme parks, as this author has reported in the Daily Mail. Deadpool and Wolverine are also expected to star in the MCU's next two kid-friendly Avengers movies. It seems a far cry from Marvel's early days. In 1971, the comic book company published a pioneering story which sees Wallcrawler's best friend, Harry Osborn, begin abusing drugs. Spider-Man co-creator Stan Lee wrote the story after the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare asked Marvel to do an anti-drug story, though ironically it wasn't well received by the industry. The Comics Code Authority, the industry's regulatory body, refused to approve the issue from going on sale because of a strict rule against depiction of drugs. Why are we getting on the Comics Code Authority? What does this have to do with Deadpool and Wolverine? Marvel published it anyway, and retailers carried it, ignoring the lack of approval, prompting the CCA to loosen its restrictions. Over the following decades, drug usage surged and has become even more commonplace, so much so that a Marvel character now jokes about it on the screen. Off-screen, Marvel actor Josh Brolin admitted to using drugs in an interview last year. Brolin, who plays Thanos, the big bad of Marvel's most successful movies, admitted that when Marvel approached him about the role, he said, quote, I know nothing about cartoons. His explanation for this is that when he was young, he was, quote, surfing and doing drugs. Undeterred, Marvel handed him a Bible about the character, which caught his eye, and the rest is history. There was a time a few decades ago when that kind of an admission from an actor would spell the end of their career. If times haven't changed, things could have turned out very different for Marvel. Okay, I don't know why they got off on that subject. All right. What do we want to tackle next here? Okay, we'll talk about this right quick. So, I talked about this last weekend that Warner Brothers Discovery, they're obviously up for sale, and there are several entities bidding. Oh, hello, FKHC 2005. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by from, the movie stream, Wagner and Raquel. Thank you for taking the time. Appreciate it. And what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So, that there was a bid being put in that was being backed by the Saudis potentially, and this was kind of where all the rumors about the Snyderverse possibly being revived come from. So the sale hasn't gone through yet, and apparently there's been a new round of bidding. This is from Deadline.com. Warner Brothers Discovery second round bids due on December 1st. Warner Brothers Discovery has asked bidders to submit a sweetened second round of offers by Monday, December 1st. Deadline has confirmed. The media giant, led by CEO David Zaslav, has been sitting on the first round of non-binding bids since November 20th. As reported, Paramount Skydance is offering to buy the entire company, while Netflix and Comcast are looking to acquire the Warner Brothers Film and TV Studios and HBO Max. Okay. I didn't know Paramount Skydance was winning the whole company. I didn't realize that. Okay, Warner Brothers Discovery has indicated that it believes the sale process can be concluded by late December, although the transaction may require at least a year to be cleared by regulators. Bankers and executives on both coasts will be working overtime as new offers are due after the long Thanksgiving holiday weekend. The bidders previously signed non-disclosure agreements and have been examining Warner Brothers books. The company launched a formal auction process earlier this year by receiving 3 bids from Paramount, which itself was just acquired by David Ellison Skydance in August. His father, Oracle co-founder and billionaire many times over, Larry Ellison, is backing the bid. Comcast, which has a solid balance sheet, is in the process of spinning out the NBC Universal Cable Networks into a separate company called Versant, in a transaction that should be completed early next year. The WBD assets would reside with the parent company. Comcast, in past decades, has made separate attempts to acquire both Disney and Fox. Warner Brothers Discovery was also pursuing a formal separation of its linear television business from studios and streaming, and still has that option if it doesn't clinch a sale. Netflix, which has done very few big deals, preferring to grow organically, was a bit of a surprise bidder in the process. So this is still ongoing, and it still remains to be seen what's going to happen. It's also still, the whole Snyderverse thing, that is still very much just a rumor. No idea if that's going to actually happen. FKHC 2005 says it will be the Japanese will own everything. Now it's the Saudis. Yeah. Back in the 80s, it was, the Japanese are buying up everything, buying up, businesses, buying up real estate and all that. Of course, then in the late 80s, their economy went belly up, and that kind of put that to rest. Now it's the Saudis. It's also the Chinese too. They're doing a lot of buying up property in the country. Okay, let's see what we got next here. Okay. Let me bring this up. Come on. Okay. This is from republicworld.com. James Gunn's Superman is a hit or a flop. Report reveals real box office picture. James Gunn and Peter Safran have rebooted the DCEU. New and promising titles are in store for the fans, and the new franchise has kicked off with Superman. Starring David Cornsweet as Clark Kent, aka Superman, and Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, the superhero film flew into cinema halls on July 11th amid high hopes. The reviews to the movie have been good. Some have, and many have praised the new how the new DCEU is a departure from the gritty and dark tone synonymous with director Zack Snyder's superhero world. While Superman ran in theaters, chatter around it being a flop or a below average grosser also began. Many speculated that in reality, Superman failed commercially and that the DCEU is not in good hands. However, a new report reveals the box office earnings of the movie and details its box office outcome in US and Canada, domestic markets, and internationally. Superman's worldwide box office alone made 616 million on a reported budget of 225 million. Of this, 262.4 million came from the international market, while the 354.1 million was the domestic box office. Superman is also the highest grossing Superman movie of the year. Yeah, I mean, that ain't saying much this year. It has surpassed all Marvel Studios titles released this year by a good margin. As per Screen Rant, Fantastic Four First Steps earned almost 100 million less than Superman, with a reported budget of 200 million. The New Avengers, aka Thunderbolts, collected 382 million on a reported budget of 180 million, and Captain America: Brave New World garnered a 413 million on a budget of 180 million. Superman is the first film in the new DC universe and a reboot of the Superman film series. It marks the beginning of DCU's chapter one. Yeah, blah, we know all that crap. So, I mean, when you look at the raw numbers, and assuming this is all the numbers, because I mean, we can only go with what they tell us. But you figure a budget of 225 million. So that's, and generally you want to double the budget for marketing and all that. Now, so I'm just going to go ahead and say about 425, right? So it made 616, but then, you pretty much are only going to keep about half of that because half of that goes to theaters. So that's about 308 million. And then again, you've got about 425 million minus 382. So you're looking at being about 43 million short of break even, it seems to me. So it's hard to look at that and say it's a success. But, I mean, until we have a precise accounting, people are going to argue back and forth about whether it's a hit or not. But it doesn't look like it to me. As I thought, because I believe I had said it needed to make somewhere, I think at least 650, really to hit profitability probably. And it came up short of that. Now, admittedly, it will make some money, on streaming, and they're probably, I don't know, I can't think they're making a lot from merchandising, but they probably made some. That may help defray the cost and get this thing to maybe a break-even point. But it's hard to see this thing being a big success. But it also doesn't matter because they've got so much writing on this, they're just going to forge ahead anyway and keep making these movies. And you can bet that Supergirl next year is probably going to make even less money and will lose even more money. And I predicted this, back when they first announced it. I said, I hope they do this right, but more than likely what they're going to do is they're going to do the same thing they did with the whole Snyderverse thing. They're going to, try to jump the gun, no pun intended, and, not set up these characters properly, not tell their origins properly, and you know and then introduce them gradually. They're just going to try and jump to the end where they do a big team up movie or something like that to make a lot of money, and they're just going to keep making these movies even though they're not profitable. And when they get about 6-7 movies in, they're going to realize, oh, this isn't making money, and then they're going to probably fire Gunn, and then they'll get somebody else and try this again. And that's assuming that Gunn isn't given the boot when the sale goes through, which is a very popular rumor right now. Okay, I'm already at 30 minutes, and I'm only through 2 stories. That's surprising. Okay. Now, speaking of James Gunn and the success or lack thereof of the Gunverse, so to speak. Come on. There we go. Man, this thing is acting up. Okay, is that coming through? Yeah, all right. So this is from Cosmic Book News. James Gunn's Peacemaker Season 2 ratings flops hard, loses nearly 40% of viewers. Maybe they're just tired of looking at Gunn's girlfriend, or his wife. Or is that his wife or his girlfriend? I think it's his wife. James Gunn's Peacemaker Season 2 is a confirmed flop. Samba TV reports that the Peacemaker Season 2 finale was watched by 435K households over its first 4 days. That's 150K fewer than the Season 1 finale, which reached 584,000 households. Season 2 began with momentum, pulling 22% more viewers for its premiere than the Season 1 finale. That shows fans were excited for the second season, but that interest clearly didn't hold. And for what it's worth, I watched like the first episode of Peacemaker, and that was kind of it for me. I didn't like it, and I know a lot of folks did, and that's fine, but I was not a fan, and I didn't even bother watching Season 2. Season 2 began with momentum, pulling 22% more viewers for its premiere than the Season 1 finale. That shows fans were excited for the second season, but that interest didn't hold. By the time the Season 2 finale hit, viewership had dropped roughly 39% from the premiere, a steep decline that erased the show's early boost. Adding to that, none of the Season 2 episodes appeared on the weekly Nielsen streaming charts. None of them, suggesting overall engagement fell short of expectations for a show once seen as a breakout DCU hit. The numbers come just as James Gunn confirmed Peacemaker won't be returning for a third season. Shocker. While he didn't elaborate, it seems obvious that the decline in viewership is the reason. If it was a hit, you can bet there would be a season 3. It should also be noted that Gunn billed Peacemaker 2 as a sequel to his Superman movie. Yeah, that was a joke. And honestly, that's probably what turned people off. A lot of them were probably felt like they were hoodwinked. They were baited into watching the show, thinking they were getting some kind of a sequel to the movie, and really it wasn't. There's I think one episode where Luthor has a cameo or something like that, and that's it. Fans bailing on the series suggest their disappointment with Gunn and the DCU. With Superman reportedly underperforming financially, just as we first told you, and Peacemaker losing viewers by the end of Season 2, questions remain about Gunn's overall DCU direction. Yeah, you think there's questions now? Wait till frickin' Supergirl flops and this Lantern show pisses fans off and they drop it in droves, because that's coming. We've actually been told that once Warner Brothers Discovery is sold, Gunn is out as head of DC Studios. Okay, so they're saying they've been told that will happen. Interesting. I didn't think anyone would be saying that outright this soon, but okay. So yeah, I mean, and honestly, God, I'm so sick. Look, I'm sure that James Gunn's wife is a nice person, but I'm sick of seeing her frickin' face. And honestly, I mean, hitching your wagon to frickin' Peacemaker in the first place. I never understood why they did a Peacemaker show to begin with. I suppose because, it's an obscure character. And, look, Gunn had success with obscure characters over at Marvel, with Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously. But I don't know. And I didn't really care that much about, well, I'm not going to go into all the things I didn't like about the show. I've talked about that before. But yeah, I was never a big fan of Peacemaker to begin with. Okay. What do we got next here? Um, okay, so pretty much everything else I got left here is Marvel related. I'll go ahead and take a look at this. This is from boundingintocomics.com. Avengers Doomsday star Simu Lui rages over apparent backslide in Hollywood's Asian representation. Quote, studios think we're risky, unquote. Stop the presses. Avengers Doomsday star Simu Liu is on yet another identity performative politics fueled tear against Hollywood, his pearl clutching this time around centered on his belief that the American film industry has allowed an unacceptable backslide in its Asian representation. The silver screen Shang-Chi aired his representation related grievances on November 23rd. His thoughts prompted by a Threads post calling for Hollywood to, quote, put more Asian men in romantic lead roles, as argued based on 4 specific cases. Freaky. Okay, hold on. This thing jumped on me. Freakier Friday star Manny Jacinto's recent reveal that his role in the Disney sequel led to more offers for dad roles rather than more romantic ones. Cowboy Bebop lead John Cho's 2023 lamentation to the TV Critics Association that is starring in the TV series Selfie did not result in more rom-com offers. Avatar The Last Airbender actor Daniel Day Kim's likewise criticism that he's, quote, still waiting to play a romantic lead, and Worth the Wait producer Rachel Tan's disappointment in the fact that the film's financiers initially gave me a list of white guys we could cast and told her if we could give one of the roles to them, we could get funded. Sharing the post to his own followers, Liu subsequently roared, put some Asians in literally anything right now. The amount of backslide in our representation on screen is effing appalling. Studios think we're risky. Minari, Farewell, Past Lives, Everything All at Once, Crazy Rich Asians, Shang-Chi, every single one a financial success. No Asian actor has ever lost a studio in close to $100 million, but a white dude will lose $200 million twice and roll right into the next tentpole lead. We're fighting a deeply prejudiced systems, and most days it sucks. As noted above, this is far from the first time Liu has sought to soapbox and spotlight himself while doing so. On 2020-21 era identity politics, with past hits including the criticism that he, quote, thought playing a guy that gets beaten up by a main character was the pinnacle for Asian actors until he starred in Shang-Chi, disingenuously reading of Disney CEO Bob Chapek's comment that Shang-Chi's then novel 45-day theatrical window would be a, quote, interesting experiment as being about an Asian-led film, and who could forget the televised excoriation of an entrepreneuring Canadian bubble tea company for cultural appropriation over its founders lacking Asian ethnicity? And like all those times before, while Liu's self aggrandizing chest beating does have some basis in reality, his actual claims are far more disingenuous than he presents. Given just the general and unfortunate history of racism in America, the truth of the matter is that while there have been numerous exceptions, the reality is that Hollywood has avoided casting Asians and Asian men in particular in romantic roles. Seriously, think about it off the top of your head prior to, let's say, 2018 and the breakout success of Crazy Rich Asians. How many exclusively romantic oriented roles have been filled by Asians? If we're being honest here, the answer is not a lot. And I say that as someone of Filipino heritage who can only really think of Michelle Krusiak, is that how you say it, in 2004 Saving Face, and Vincent Rodriguez III, and the 2015 TV series Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. But to act like Hollywood has suddenly and so decisively turned on Asian actors as a whole is almost beyond parody, as even looking at the examples cited by both Liu and the thread user whose post caught his attention, there's active ongoing change on the matter across the entire industry. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's the stuff he named, that's all been in what, the last probably 2-3 years. So I mean, how is he saying that they're backsliding? Where's that coming from? For example, the Afordo served as the main Sith-aligned antagonist in The Acolyte, a Disney-produced live-action entry in the massive Star Wars franchise, and is set to star in the upcoming romantic comedy Love Languages as its male lead. Lana Condor, who readers may recognize best as Laura Jean from All the Boys I Loved Before. Never seen that. Or the impeccably cast Jubilee in X-Men Apocalypse. Oh, she was Jubilee. Okay. Is currently set to appear in several upcoming thriller outings, the long-awaited Acme versus Coyote, and I don't know if voiceover roles really count, and serve as the female protagonist of the rom-com Who Done It. And though he doesn't have any specific romantic roles lined up, Stephen Yeun has spent recent years as a constant presence, starring in such projects as Love Me, Beef, Mickey 17, Nope, and The Humans, as well as serving as the lead voice for Amazon's wildly popular Invincible. Ultimately, while these are just three actors out of a wide-ranging scene of Asian actors in Hollywood, uh, the fact of the matter still stands that Asians are seeing more and more diverse representation as time marches on. Was the past less than ideal in its treatment of Asian actors? No doubt. Could things be better? Absolutely. But neither of those wounds are as immediately worrying and septic as Liu is making them out to be. And the fact that he refuses to engage with reality and at least acknowledge this progress speaks more to his own intellectual dishonesty than anything else. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that. He thinks it's bad now. Wait till Doomsday loses a ton of money. Because he's sitting there saying, "Oh well, white guys can be in a movie and it'll lose 200 million and they'll all get roles again." Yeah, well, Doomsday is probably going to lose 200 million and probably more than that. Okay, what am I? 42 minutes. Okay. Okay, I'll cover this right quick. Yeah, this is going to be a short one tonight. I don't know if I'll even make an hour. We'll see. And that's even including that dead time when the frickin' stream froze up on me. Okay, this is from movieweb.com. Daredevil Born Again scrapped a crowd pleasing crossover episode perfect for Punisher fans. It appears that one of the episodes scrapped following Daredevil Born Again getting reworked was a team up episode between two street level characters, Frank Castle slash the Punisher and Maya Lopez slash Echo. Born Again famously underwent a major creative behind the scenes change following the production shutdown during the SAG AFTRA strike. The series was reworked to have more direct ties to the Netflix series, and it appears that many storylines were cut, including one that would have better tied the series in with two Disney Plus series, Hawkeye and Echo. Speaking with IGN, Daredevil Born Again writer Jesse Wigatow revealed that or Wigatow, I'm not sure how you say it, revealed that the series originally contained an episode centered on the Punisher and Echo, which would have broken away from the main action. Wigatow said that the episode would have forced Frank Castle and Maya Lopez to spend a night together, but stresses that it would not be romantic. Although the exact circumstances that brought the two together or the larger plan are unknown, the writer hopes to revisit the storyline one day. Maya Lopez Echo was absent from Born Again, but the Punisher appeared in two episodes, setting up a larger role for the series' future. So Wigatow said, quote, they were looking to do a kind of singular bottle episode around the Punisher crossing into the Daredevil space. This was 2-3 years ago, and one thing led to another, and I came in to largely focus on that. It involved the Punisher and Echo kind of spending an interesting night together, not romantically, but narratively. Who knows, maybe it comes back again, but the story has been a little kind of crooked in terms of development as it was part of a former idea. Wigatow saying that he can. The Punisher and Echo episode was 2 to 3 years ago, hence that the storyline was floated back in either 2023 or even as far back as 2022. This occurred when Marvel Television was reworking Echo, which was drastically re-edited and debuted all 5 episodes on Disney Plus on January 9th, 2024. Echo was strongly set up to be connected to Daredevil, as she is the goddaughter of Wilson Fisk slash Kingpin, a plotline explored in both Hawkeye and her own Disney Plus series. She also fought Daredevil in the first episode of the series, and Marvel likely wanted to connect her to the Daredevil Born Again storyline and potentially supporting cast at some point in the future, but pivoted following Echo's debut and a refocus on Marvel's Disney Plus output. The idea of Echo and Punisher crossing over is very interesting. With Maya Lopez's history as a criminal working for the Kingpin, would he attempt to kill her? Could she utilize the powers established in her series, which allow her to tap into a person's mind and explore their history, to possibly subdue him and enable him to revisit his own past? This is nothing like her character in the book, in the comics, by the way. That is not her power. In the comics, Echo's power, basically, she has the same power as the Punisher. She has photographic reflexes. She can see somebody do something, perform an action or whatever, and then she can copy it perfectly. All this stuff about her being able to probe people's memories and being able to summon the ghosts of her ancestors, that's all just thrown in the show. There was certainly a lot of interesting story potentials that the two characters could have explored, which Marvel should revisit in the future. That said, the idea of a bottle episode in Daredevil Born Again, one that would have deviated from the main plot, would have left some fans frustrated. Yeah, I mean, these series don't have that many episodes to begin with. So if you're going to take like an 8-episode Daredevil show and then spend one episode on other characters and Daredevil doesn't even do anything, yeah, that would piss fans off. John Bernthal has a bright future ahead of him as the Punisher in the MCU. In 2026, Bernthal will reprise his superhero role in Daredevil Born Again Season 2, get his own Punisher-centric special feature, and be one of the stars of Spider-Man Brand New Day. Unfortunately, Alaqua Cox's future as Maya Lopez remains a mystery, as there has been no announcement about her return since the conclusion of her Disney Plus series in 2023. With Born Again already confirmed to be renewed for Season 3, Echo could fit into the future of the series and possibly even join a revamped version of the Defenders. Echo is listed on Disney Plus as part of the Defenders saga after all. It is? I didn't even know that. Since she wasn't a member of the Defenders, at least not before, at least. Okay. Let me take a drink of water right quick here. Okay. One of my 47 seconds, or 47 minutes, excuse me. All right, so I've just got a couple of things left here. These shouldn't take long. So I'll just do these two and then we'll wrap up. All right, let me bring this up. This is from, oh no, not that. There we go. This is from comicbookmovie.com. Okay, so Rob Liefeld, noted comic book creator Rob Liefeld, has had a lot to say recently about Marvel. So let's go over this here. Quote, surprised I survived all the bad decisions, unquote. Deadpool co-creator Rob Liefeld slams Marvel on social media. Rob Liefeld has a bone to pick with Marvel. The superhero writer burst into the comic scene in the 80s, eventually helping to usher in a new era for the industry. The prolific artist was part of the first wave of superstar comic creators in the 90s. These people were celebrities, both within superhero fandoms and mainstream media. His impact on the industry has been significant, with arguably his biggest achievement being co-creating everyone's favorite assassin, Deadpool. Over the past few years, the character has become one of Marvel's most important IPs. He's headlined 3 blockbusters, the latest of which, 2024's Deadpool and Wolverine, made over $100 billion worldwide and is expected to continue being part of the MCU. Despite this, Liefeld does not have the best relationship with the House of Ideas. Case in point, the comic creator recently took to X to slam Marvel, stating, honestly, surprised I survived all the bad decisions I was subjected to at Marvel. The entire division that doesn't understand marketing and selling comics. Watching them stumble in 2025 is hard to watch. When is rock bottom? For context, shortly before posting that tweet, Liefeld also shared the following message. Comic books are doing great. 2025 was a boom year for me. Publishing is on fire. Youngblood did 50 times the number that I was doing at Marvel. Be bold. Your breakout is likely right around the corner. Still, despite his grievances with the company, Liefeld also praised Marvel and DC's recent crossover issue, Batman Deadpool, stating, quote, I loved it. So much fun. I've grabbed Batman Deadpool so many times and revisited often the last 2 days. Liefeld has been vocal about his dislike of Marvel in the past. In 2025, he criticized three prominent figures at the company: Marvel Entertainment CEO Dan Buckley, Senior VP of Sales and Marketing David Gabriel, and Senior VP of Business Affairs and Talent Management David Bogart, calling them, quote, spent and tired. Then we have another quote here. The guys at the top of the executive suite in publishing have to go. Buckley, Bogart, and Gabriel. These guys have no new moves. They are spent and tired, and it shows. Start over. My career has been across 7 editors in chief, seen it done way better by brighter and more focused minds. Ouch. In 2025, Liefeld also slammed Marvel for what he perceived to be unfair treatment of him and his family at the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere. No, that was last year. I think he means last year, 2024, which led him to cut ties because that's when the movie was released, which led him to cut ties with Marvel Entertainment. In the episode Marvel Access Denied of his podcast, Raw Observations, the comic creator stated that prior to the movie's premiere, he had cautioned his family about his strained relationship with the company. Quote, as we were down and about ready to go over for the Deadpool and Wolverine premiere, my daughter just said, Dad, I'm so proud of you. We took some photos and we jumped in the car, but I cautioned everybody. I said, hey guys, as you know, the Marvel and Disney love is not really there this time. So let's just stay within ourselves. Let's not go out of our way. Let's be our own kind of unit and stick together. He continued, I didn't want to put anybody and his family in an embarrassing situation, given that I felt like we were kind of persona non grata. Yes, the guy who gave you Deadpool felt persona non grata going to the Deadpool premiere. The creator also claimed he was not invited to the movie's after party. Ultimately, regarding such alleged treatment, he stated, quote, I got the message. The message was sent. Quote, you cannot attend the celebration of this film in New York City. It was meant to embarrass, diminish, defeat, mostly, I think, embarrass me, and that's not how it works. That just gives me more fuel. Following that, Liefeld decided to cut ties with Marvel. Quote, I wasn't going to let this rain on my parade, but most certainly made that decision at that point in time that I can no longer work for Marvel Comics in any capacity. Because at some point you go, I've received the message and the message is clear. So yeah, he's not not doing too well in regards to Marvel these days. They're not getting along. And that's not even the only story I have about this. Let me bring this next one up. This is from Screen Rant. Marvel's misstep. Deadpool creator slams impossibly boring Fantastic Four first steps. And this was back in August. Rob Liefeld, one of the minds behind the lovable mercenary Deadpool, is letting loose on the latest entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Fans have been patiently awaiting Fantastic Four First Steps and are happy to see it finally in theaters. However, Liefeld isn't particularly happy, and he's making his displeasure with the franchise well known online. It was just a week ago that Fantastic Four First Steps was released, and while it's already achieved several accolades, as well as becoming the #1 film at the box office, one creator is not satisfied with the product. In a series of posts, one of which has since been deleted, Liefeld delivered several scathing comments. In the deleted post on X, Liefeld directly addressed Marvel Studios head of Kevin Feige, telling him to, quote, watch more movies, and saying that the Fantastic Four movie had no tension. In a post on X that's still up, Liefeld posted a picture of a mostly empty IMAX theater, saying that, quote, the impossibly dull and boring nature is causing diminished crowds. In addition to co-creating Deadpool, Rob Liefeld has worked on hundreds of Marvel comics over the years. However, the creator infamously cut ties with Marvel due to Liefeld being turned away from Disney's after party for the premiere of Deadpool and Wolverine last year. Since then, Liefeld has unleashed much criticism over Marvel's current direction under Disney. What is going on? Okay, hold on. What is going on with this? Uh, Crying out loud. Did it? Is this an ad? Is that what's happening? Okay, hold on. Let me bring this back. Uh, okay, try that again. I think I activated an ad accidentally. Okay, is it coming through? Yeah, there we go. Okay. While Liefeld's words are harsh, he's far from the only person to level this kind of criticism at Marvel. Many creators have spoken up against the Marvel Cinematic Universe for one reason or another, whether it's because of the waning quality or how Marvel Studios has been treating comic writers and artists when adapting these movies. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is still a cultural juggernaut, but its power is far less than what it was in the pre-Avengers Endgame era. While Marvel is doing its damnedest to recapture the magic with movies like Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four: First Steps, criticism from people like Rob Liefeld shows how much work is left. Granted, Liefeld's issues with Marvel run deeper than just a matter of quality, but what he's saying isn't exactly rare, as other online chatter expresses similar fears. If Marvel Studios really wants to correct course, it would stand a better shot of doing that by heeding the words of Deadpool's creator. Yeah, and I think it says somewhere in here, yeah, Liefeld is saying what a sizable portion of Marvel fans are thinking. Yeah, so he's just saying what a lot of the fans are thinking, but we already know at this point. I mean, there's no denying it or anything really at this point that hold on a second. Let me have a drink of water. Okay, so there's no denying at this point that the people that are making these movies don't like the comics and they don't like the people who like the comics. In other words, the people that made this stuff popular, the people who created this stuff and made it popular, allowing them to exploit it as an IP in movies. And what's his face? Bo DeMeo, the guy who did X-Men 97, he went online and he talked about this and said that these people don't like comics. They don't like comics. They hate them. And, they don't like comic book fans either. And so and it's not only do they not do what the fans want, but for them, it's kind of almost a point of pride to not do what the fans want and to basically stick it to them. And it's costing them a lot of money, and I don't know. I don't know if they'll wise up or if they'll run out of money first. We'll see. Okay, that's going to be that. All right, yeah, so a bit of a short one this week. So thank you to those who tuned in during the stream. Thank you to those who will catch this on a rewatch. Please do like the stream. Always forget to say that at the beginning. I should be saying that more often. And please do sub to the channel. Check out other videos while you're here. I should be back Tuesday evening. Oh, and I will be back Monday evening on with J-Man and Decepticon, taking a look at some more Avengers comics. I'm trying to remember. Let me look up what issues that's going to be. Let me see here. What are the next ones? Because it's got a giant size included in it. Where is it here? Yeah, so it's going to be Avengers 129 through 131. as well as Giant Size Avengers #2. Going to be pretty Kang heavy. Several issues with Kang the Conqueror in them. And then I'll be back the following night on Tuesday for another Trek Talk live stream. I will be covering the original series episode, The Immunity Syndrome. And then I should be back next Sunday as well. Until then, everyone have a good night. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving, and I'll see you then. Good night.